as a result of that, let's get going to the NFL as the season is starting next week with the Bills and the Rams kicking it off on Thursday Night Football. It is the sophomore campaign for several quarterbacks in the NFL, like former number 1 overall quarterback pick Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence and Chicago's Justin Fields. Also, other quarterbacks within the league are under pressure to earn another contract, or better yet, keep their job next season, or the following season, excuse me. So, Ryan, I'm going to start with you here. Which second-year quarterback are you expecting the most out of this season?
You know, this one may come as some surprise to some people, but I do think that he had an exceptional first rookie season, and that's Davis Mills of the Houston Texans. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor got injured in week 2 last year, and he had to take over. And obviously, you know, it's still the Texans, they're not the best, but he did really good in his rookie season. Obviously, he was able to complete 23 of 33 passes in a season finale against the Tennessee Titans, which obviously they go up against a lot. And, you know, that was 69.7%. So in his last game, he really showed why he can throw the ball a little bit. And according to Pro Football Focus, Mills had the highest passing rating on deep throws of 20+ among NFL quarterbacks with a grade of 120. And that put him in front of guys like Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert. Although he doesn't really have much help out there, I still think that he's a really good mobile quarterback, and he's obviously young. It was really hard for me not to pick Justin Fields here, but I mean, that offensive line for him is going to be pretty struggling, so he's going to have to get out of there quick. He's going to have to throw the ball quick, and I'm not saying Justin Fields can't do that, but I also just really think that Mills also expressed that he can play the game pretty well in front of a bunch of Houston Texans fans last year, and they're going to expect him to play a little bit better than he did last year. So I think that he's actually going to be hyped up for this, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see what he can do. They also claimed Tyler Johnson off waivers from the Buccaneers, which I think will help him out as well. Yeah. So I think he'll be good. I think that'll kind of maybe be his go-to guy. I'm not sure if it will or not, but you know he came from the Buccaneers, so he's a good player. But I don't know. I think Mills can run the ball. I think he's a good mobile quarterback. Obviously, the Texans aren't a team to write home about, but I do think that they'll be better this year with Mills, and obviously Mills showed that he can step in a dangerous role. Like I said, Tyrod Taylor got injured last year, so he had to step in, and I think he did really good. So I'm excited to see what he can do this year around.
Before you get going, Ben, I did want to say this. That is a really different answer, and I will say this about Justin Fields. They did claim Leatherwood from the Raiders off the waivers. Honestly, in my opinion, that is a low-risk, high-reward type of situation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's I guess the potential is there in Leatherwood because there's a reason he got drafted so high last year.
Probably, the Raiders are dumb in the first place.
Have been that high. He shouldn't have gone over Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. But regardless, I mean, it's like you said, low risk, high reward if you get him on the right track. Back to the year 2 quarterbacks, I think in this upcoming season we see why Trevor Lawrence was talented or is touted as the next Andrew Luck level prospect coming out of college, out of Clemson. I mean, when you think about his pre-draft hype and the quarterbacks to get that much like number 1 pick before they even played a college game, you think about Peyton, you think about Andrew Luck in 2012, and then for me, the next quarterback who had that much hype around him was Trevor Lawrence because the dude didn't lose a game in high school and didn't lose a game in college till his second season when he lost, I believe, to Alabama. No, I believe it was to LSU in the championship. So I think Trevor Lawrence, we see that untapped potential really come to life in this second season. You could see flashes of it last year, but he was in a horrible situation. One of his best receivers, DJ Chark, got hurt early in the season and missed a lot of time. And then you had the whole Urban Meyer thing. Can you even really call him a coach there last year?
Yeah.
I love the Doug Peterson hire. I think that's a great person to work with, a young quarterback. And you saw what he did to elevate Carson Wentz's game. And I know Carson Wentz isn't a really good quarterback now, but at the time, taking Wentz to an MVP candidate in year 2, and I'm not saying Lawrence gets that high, but I think Peterson will certainly elevate his game and do much more than Urban Meyer could for him in that offense. The running back duo will give him a safety blanket, both with Etienne as a pass catcher and James Robinson to an extent coming back off the torn Achilles injury. I think if those both are healthy, those are 2 elite weapons. And the receivers are not the best of the best, but it is reliable pass catchers that I think can move the chains and bail him out in a pressure situation. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones, they are certainly, I think, overpaid, especially Christian Kirk getting that massive contract.
What was it again? It was $80 million?
It was a lot of money.
I think it was $80 million.
I'll say that much. It was up there with the best of the best in terms of money for a receiver. So he got the bag for sure, and I think he'll have a nice season, and it will help Trevor Lawrence. I think help Trevor Lawrence out, and in turn, I see him getting the ball out of his hand quicker, and I think he will face less pressure in the pocket and have less turnovers. He had 17 picks last year compared to just the 12 touchdowns. I think that ratio is much, much better. And as Ryan just showed me, $72 million for Christian Kirk, so we better be putting in some production. Yeah, and I think Jacksonville with Lawrence can start off on a good note and give Lawrence some confidence going into the season. They play a beatable Commanders team led by Carson Wentz, and I think that's a team that they can beat. And then in week 2, they get the Colts at home, and the Colts are obviously better than the Jaguars, but the Jaguars have this weird thing where they beat the Colts at home. They beat them last year in the last week of the season, as we all know about, by that Colts collapse. And then 2 years ago, when the Jaguars had just one win, it came against the Colts at home. So, I mean, I would not be too incredibly shocked if the Jaguars find a way to start out 2-0. Do I think Lawrence will be setting the world on fire at that point? No, but I think a massive, massive improvement. And by mid to late season, we'll be sitting here like, okay, yep, that's why he was the number 1 pick and predicted to be the number 1 pick before he even graduated from high school.
Okay, so the thing is, I don't call it the Indy Colts collapse. I call it the Carson Wentz collapse, because Carson Wentz, the dude sinks when pressure rises. He falls like a cheap tent when the stakes are high. So let's just say that. But you guys talk about the second-year quarterback. I'm going to do the other one that we wrote is, which quarterback are you expecting the most out of this season? Now, if I had to answer the second one, mine was Trey Lance. But the quarterback I'm expecting the most out of this season is no other than Tua Tagovailoa. This dude obviously has the injury bug. I don't know what he is. But my thing is the Dolphins are built to win now. You got the Bills, of course. I expect the Patriots to regress this year. And then you got of course, you got the Jets, but the Jets are irrelevant. And you got the Miami Dolphins. They finished 9-8 last season, despite Tua Tagovailoa he didn't impress me. Think about this. You got Joe Burrow, who we already knew was going to be fine, but Justin Herbert was a couple of picks later. And you got Dolphins fans the year before saying, tank for Tua. Well, you got Tua, and I haven't seen anything. This is Tua's team. You don't have Ryan Fitzmagic anymore. Your backup is Teddy Bridgewater. This is Tua's team. So as a result of that, yes, we saw him connect with Tyreek Hill for a 51 gain on the first play of scrimmage against the Eagles. We saw that in a preseason game. I don't care what you do in preseason. I care about what you do once the season opens against first stringers, not second stringers. So granted, he did play good in the preseason. We'll see what Mike McDaniel has in store for the offense. He, after all, is part of the Kyle Shanahan tree. But when we look at Tua Tagovailoa, the dude cannot seem to avoid the injury bug, okay? He's going to continue to progress as a young quarterback. We get that. Your national title, Alabama in 2017, we got that. We know you can win. We got that. However, I do not care anymore. You are in the NFL. You are under a ton of pressure. You have Dolphins. You have Greer wanting to trade for Tom Brady. We saw that. They got fined for that. They lost a pick. Then they wanted to go after Deshaun Watson. And when the Browns got that really tells me they don't trust Tua Tagovailoa, which obviously he's under a lot of pressure. I think it's been unfair for him through a lot of the process, but it clearly means the dude has a lot to prove. We see that he can throw those slant routes, the curl routes, and the screen passes. But the problem is, can you throw a 30-yard dime to Tyreek Hill against first stringers during the regular season? That is important because a lot of people drafted Tyreek Hill in fantasy. I hesitated to draft Tyreek Hill because who's throwing him the ball? Tua Tagovailoa. I do not trust him yet. And he has the most to prove this season, because if the Miami Dolphins do not make the playoffs, because they have the team, they have the defense, they got the receivers, if they do not make the postseason, I believe Tua Tagovailoa will not be in the Dolphins next season. That is how much pressure he is under this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly a fair point. He's playing in a really tough AFC conference, and there's, if you look at the entire landscape of the AFC, there, I believe, is 10 to 12 different teams that could all make the playoffs, and there's 7 spots. So it's certainly not going to be an easy path. I mean, that team, the Dolphins in the NFC, would probably make it pretty easily. But yeah, Tua's under a lot of pressure, and he's got now weapons too with Tyreek and Waddle to deliver the ball accuracy.
You got Jasicki at the tight end position. I mean, you got weapons. It's not like you got nobody. You got Cedric Wilson, another, I would say, a third string wide receiver. You got some other tight ends on this team. Okay, but the problem is you got to prove something. You got a decent offensive line. It's not great. And I don't like the running game at all, by the way. I don't understand why they signed Raheem Mostert to be their number 1 running back. The dude is tissue paper. Ever since he stopped playing with the 49ers, because obviously now they got Trey Sermon when he comes back and Elijah Mitchell. But you got Myles Gaskin. I don't trust Myles Gaskin. You got Chase Edmonds. I don't know what I'm getting from Chase Edmonds. So I don't like their running game, so it's really going to be up to Tua to really get this team to go forward. Because if they can go 9-8 with a backup quarterback, why can't Tua go better? That's my question.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of sense. And, another thing that I wanted to just mention is, you got a lot of these players that went to different teams. Like, you got Devontae Adams on the Raiders. Like, for instance, what if Tyreek Hill is getting double coverage, and then you have more defense coming at you? Well, that's what I was going to say. But Tua's going to have to get the ball out of the pocket quick, and I'm not sure if he can do that accurately. So, I mean, it'll be exciting to see what the Dolphins can do, but you make a good point. 9-8 with the backup. Definitely should have a winning season this year and should make the playoffs.
Well, let me take that back. He did play part of the season, but he didn't play the whole season, is what I'm trying to say. He didn't score enough points, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, for sure, you would think he'd play the whole season, obviously, in case he gets injured, but obviously I think he'll play the whole season. I think that him and Tyreek are actually going to hook up for a big game, a big gain in the first week. I think that's going to be kind of like a big thing to watch for Dolphins fans. Obviously, Tyreek Hill he's going to be playing with the best quarterback that's ever thrown the ball.
Oh,
so,
man. I cannot believe that man said that with a straight look on his face, saying, yeah, he basically said Tua Tagovailoa is better than Patrick Mahomes. No one believes that. And even if Tua is, let's just say he's good. I don't think he's ever going to be better than Justin Herbert. But if he's going to be good, he damn sure ain't Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the league. So, yeah, I don't believe that at all. I don't know what he was saying. Trying to impress people, I don't know.